Ang pinoproteksyonan po natin yung mga advocates, environmental advocates, na mahilig pong sila at talagang yun ang nasa puso nila na nagpa-file sila ng environmental cases. Sila po yung binabalikan ng mga companies, mining companies, yung mayayaman pong kumpanya. At ang nangyayari, nahihirapan sila dahil kung ano-ano yung pinapile sa kanila. May libel, may criminal cases. So, doon po sa mga ganong legal suits na yun, na medyo nadidihado sila dahil wala naman silang pera, ay binibigyan po natin sila ng isang mabilis na paraan para ma-dismiss yung kaso na yon at magpatuloy yung kanilang mga adhikain para sa proteksyon ng ecology. Ngayon, tingnan po natin yan. At palagay ko po maganda po yung inyong suggestion, Mr. Chairman, at pag-aralan po natin yan. At kawawa naman po yung ating mga public officials din na talagang ginagawa lang ang kanilang tungkulin sa ilalim ng batas, pero pinahihirapan ng mga merong kapasidad na finansyal. Pero kung mabalik lang po ako dun sa kasi ang trust po, ako palagi po tinitingnan ko yung case delay Napakahirap po yung mga tao, lalo na yung mahirap, ay nagtatagal yung kaso. Ultimately, bumibigay ho yun sila ang napipilitan makipag-settle kahit na mura, na luging-lugi, samantalang may karapatan sila. O kaya talagang totally inabando na lang nila yung kanilang kaso kasi they cannot finance litigation. Talagang very expensive to go into litigation. Kaya po yung ginawa nating special rules, and I think we should really amend the rules of court to incorporate the innovations we did there. Katulad nung ultimate facts sa allegations sa complaint. Gusto na ginawa nating evidentiary facts. So, parang kailangan nakalagay ng lahat doon yung mga sinasabi yung mga suporta para doon sa inyong cause of action sa complaint, hindi po ba? Then, ginawa natin verified yung mga pleadings, hindi po ba? Para kung falsehood, sige, di ikaw ay madidemanda ng perjury under solemn affirmation, hindi po ba? Ginawa po natin yan. At pinalalagay po natin lahat yung mga dokumento na kung ano yung isusuporta mo sa iyong complaint o kaya sa depensa. So, ibig sabihin, parang lay your cards on the table Kaya yung isang problema po sa atin sa ating litigation at saka sa rules of procedure, ay masyadong maraming vents, yung stages ng case Kailangan bawasan po natin. Katulad po yung motion to dismiss, tinatanggal po natin po yun, hindi po ba? Okay, at yung pre-trial, talaga pong minaximize natin yung gamit. Talagang kailangan gamitin na yung mga lahat nung pwedeng ayusin na sa pre-trial. Lay your cards on the table. Kailangan judicial affidavits, nilagay po natin yun. Nandun po lahat yun. Yung nilagyan po, pinaka-importante po sa environmental rules na nakita ko, yung ating ginawang disposition period Nilagay po natin doon na kailangan ang isang case ay matapos sa loob ng 10 months yata o 1 taon, depende sa klase ng kaso. Pero alam niyo po yun, napakaganda because yung judge ngayon ang may responsibilidad talaga na see to it na walang delays, walang kailangan talaga maipresenta na lahat ng ebidensya within the time scope. Otherwise, silang mapepinahan they will be sanctioned by the Supreme Court in case they fail to decide the case within that disposition period. Hindi po yung adjudication period. Yung adjudication period po, binaba pa natin doon sa environmental, naging 60 days na lang, dati 90 days for RTC. Pero ang mas importante po yung binigyan natin sila ng time frame from the time of the filing of the complaint up to the time of the adjudication or the promulgation of the decision. Kailangan tapusin ng judge po yun. Kasi palagay po nga natin na yung mga lawyers po nagdi-delay o baka hindi masyadong ganado yung nagpo-prosecute. Hindi naman inaayos yung mga testigo. Di kailangan po yung judge ang napumupukpok Kasi responsibilidad po niyan pag hindi po nila natapos yan within that disposition period, mananagot po sa Supreme Court. May fine po tayo mga 10,000 dyan, palaki ng palaki. So, napakaganda po nun Yun ang palagay ko po dapat ma-incorporate na natin at ma-amendahan po natin yung rules of court po natin, Mr. Chairman.
Doon din ba yung rule na nababasa natin, yung sinasabi nyo lang writ of kalikasan? Doon ba galing yan? Yung writ of kalikasan na yan?
Opo, Mr. Chairman, talaga napakaganda po ng writ of kalikasan. As a matter of fact po, marami na po naiinganyo mag-file ngayon kasi ang ginawa po natin dyan sa writ of kalikasan, walang filing fees we're trying to encourage litigation that will protect the environment, that will bring attention to the concerned government agencies as to the possible damage to the environment. Ito pong writ of kalikasan, dinadala po kaagad sa Court of Appeals to o sa Supreme Court na. Kaya ang focus po nito talagang importante at marami na po tayong natatanggap. Napakaganda po nung reception.
Tsaka mabilis po yun.
Mabilis, opo.
Mabilis.
Summary po
Summary.
Tapos po, tama po yun, Mr. Chairman.
Wala nang summons. Return the writ with your answer. Comment, hindi po ba?
Tama po, napakabilis po, napakaganda.
Wala nang motion to dismiss, hindi po ba?
Opo. Inalis na po yan, mga unnecessary motions po.
Marami pa, kailang 5:30 na ata. Isa na lang po, alam ko naman yung qualifications nyo. I know your qualifications. You've been my chairman for more than a year. You've been also my chairman in the HRET, almost a year na. So, I know that you're capable. Yung qualifications mo maayos. Naging court administrator ka po, Justice Presby. On that note, wala na po ako itatanong.
Salamat po, Mr. Chairman. And to the honorable members of the council, maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat.
At dyan po nagtatapos ang 4 na interviewees para sa araw to. Actually, tapos na ang buong interviewing nitong mga nominado para maging next Chief Justice para sa JBC at matutunghayan na natin ang botohan sa Lunes, no, Cathy?
Yes, Gio, natunghayan niyo po 20 mga nominado ang in-interview at buong-buo po namin yang ipinilabas at ipinapanood sa inyo. Kauna-unahan po ito sa kasaysayan ng ating bansa na napanood ng taong bayan via live telecast. Ito pong public interview na isinasagawa ng JBC para sa mga nag-aasam ng pwesto ng punong maestrado ng ating bansa.
Balikan natin ang mga final words ng chairman ng JBC.
Thank you also to the members of Congress, especially Congressman Ariel C. Topas Jr. and Senator Francis Joseph Chis Escudero for the cooperation they extended to me. And on behalf of the JBC, I would like to thank the nominees for their candid and straightforward answers to the questions propounded by the members of this council. My appreciation also to the members of the media for cooperating with us to ensure the successful implementation of the first ever panel interview of the aspirants for the highest position in the judiciary, open to live media coverage. You are the instruments in making known to the public that they could be active participants in the selection process. Through the media, the selection process has reached every Filipino household, not only in the country, but in different parts of the globe. I also want to express my gratitude to my colleagues in the Supreme Court for believing in me, having faith in my competence, and entrusting to me the difficult and challenging task of presiding the JBC in the selection process of the next Chief Justice. I also thank the JBC Secretariat, the Office of the Clerk of Court, especially the ex-officio Secretary, Attorney Enriqueta Vidal, the JBC Executive Officer, Attorney Annalisa T. Capacite, the Supreme Court Public Information Office, headed by Attorney Gleo Guerra, and the Supreme Court officials and employees for their assistance and cooperation, for without them, the proceedings would not have been successful as it is. Finally, I thank the Filipino people for their interest in the proceedings and for choosing to be involved in the selection process through their questions and messages in the different media. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas, mabuhay ang Korte Suprema, naway patuloy tayong pagpalain ng buong may kapal. Maraming salamat po, uli.
Yan po ang mensahe ng chairperson ng Judicial and Bar Council, si Justice Diosdado Peralta. Sa kanyang closing speech ay pinasalamatan niya sina Congressman Tupas at Senador Cheese Escudero sa kanilang naging kooperasyon sa Judicial and Bar Council. Pinasalamatan din niya ang mga kasamahan natin, Gio, sa media sa pag-cover nito at pagsisikap na pagpapaintindi sa taong bayan sa mga kaganapan dito sa public interviews. Gayon din, pinasalamatan din niya ang taong bayan sa kanilang interes sa panonood at sa kanilang mga tanong na ipinadala through the internet, through Twitter and email.
Mapapansin nga natin, ang first time ever in history that the JBC interviews has reached the household. Yan ang ginamit ng terminolohiya. At ito yung isang bagay na talagang nagpapakita ng transparency and accountability sa mekanismo ng mismong pagpili ng isang punong mahistrado, ang isa sa mga pinakamatataas na pwesto dito sa lupa ng Pilipinas.
Bago yan, Gio, ay natunghayan po natin ang interview kay Justice Presbitero Velasco Jr. Siya po yung huling na interview among the 20 nominees sa buong 4 na araw na ito. Sa kanyang naging proposal kung paano mai-improve itong justice system sa ating bansa, sinabi niya, kinakailangan daw na mag-recruit ng mas marami pang public attorneys para daw mapabilis ang usad ng kaso. I just want to ask Attorney Cynthia Rojas. Attorney Cynthia, totoo po ba itong nasabi ni Justice Velasco na isa sa mga cause ng case delays ay dahil kulang sa ang ating bansa sa mga public attorneys?
Actually, honestly, I don't know kung anong basis ni Justice Velasco to say that, no? Kasi personally, sa aking paglilitigate, nakikita ko meron din namang mga public prosecutors, and we're talking of the public attorney's office, the members of the public attorney's office. So siguro parang iniisip ko lang, baka yung basis niya yun noon kasi matagal na siya nasa Court of Appeals. Although, admittedly, he was a member of the IBP, also from the court administrator. So baka maaaring noon. Pero ngayon, parang nakikita ko, meron naman eh. And it especially attracts those new lawyers to up close to see the law in action. And they enter normally as public attorney sa public attorney's office or the fiscal's office sa sa public prosecutor's office. So parang sa akin hindi ko nararamdaman 'yon. But if it is, then perhaps that should be one of the areas for reform.
Just a follow-up, Gio, Attorney Cynthia. Can you enlighten me? Kasi po ako, never po ako naka-experience ng kahit anong kaso. Pero kung hindi po ba, meron kasing persepsyon ng taong bayan na parang pag isang public attorney, parang medyo kulang pa sa eksperyensya at parang naghahanap lang ng practice, kaya pumapasok sa public practice.
Hindi din naman, no? Siguro marami lang tayong makikita na yung mga bagong pasa or yung mga hindi pa masyadong hasa sa practice would want to experience firsthand. And probably one of the fastest ways is to go down to the courts and see it in action. Kaya siguro nagkakaroon ng mga nakaka-enhance or nakaka-entice ng bagong lawyers or those with limited practice pa na pumasok sa public attorney's office. Pero I don't think it's fair to say na parang hindi hasa ang mga tao nasa public attorney's office. Magagalit sa atin dyan yung Attorney Acosta. Oo. Kasi in fairness, marami ring members ng public attorney's office who are very capable, as much as those other members in the other members of the judicial system. So, sa DOJ, sa PAO, di ba? So, marami din. Kaya lang siguro, makikita lang na baka one of the fastest ways to learn the law firsthand would be to go into the public attorney's office.
Kung saan ngayon naman nagkaroon na rin ng standardization sa mga sweldo ng mga attorney.
So, hindi na rin ganun ka-delayed or baka maaari compared to private practice, baka may mga magrereklamo na kulang ang sweldo. But I think measures are being done para maging at par with those other members of the legal practice as well.
Attorney, puntahan ko naman yung isang landmark case na sinabi ni Justice Peralta kanina. Ito yung MMDA versus People of Manila. Ano tong continuing mandamus na sinasabi nila na bilang ponente nga si Justice Presbitero Velasco, siya yung isa sa mga tao na naging unprecedented nga rin itong gawain na ito?
Nako, sorry I don't personally know the case. So I'm not privy to talk about the details of that case, no. But if that was what was said a while ago, then I would have to just go with it, no. Kasi personally, I have not encountered that case, so I'm not capable to talk about the details of that case.
Attorney Sylvia, let's go back to dito naman po sa lahat na naging interviewees. Napansin ko po na there's only a handful na kababaihan. Para sa inyo po, nakikita niyo po ba na nalalapit na yung araw na magkakaroon pa tayo ng babaeng punong maestrado?
If it happens now, then it's really for the cause of the women, no? But if it doesn't, I think it's very near. Sooner or later, we're going to come to that point na magkakaroon na ng unang babaeng maestrado. Just as we had the first woman president, it's matter of time na mangyari din yon sa judiciary.
Ngayon po na natunghayan na natin lahat ng mga nominado, sino sa tingin niyo yung mga standout and what major points yung na-emphasize at kailangan bigyan ng pansin? Kasi kung titignan natin, kahit sino ring ma-appoint dito sa mga nominadong ito, ay gagamitin din nila. Titignan din nila yung mga ideya ng lahat ng in-interview. Ano po yung mga salient points sa tingin niyo at magiging focus ng susunod na punong maestrado?
Well, una, tungkol dun sa sino ba ang leading dito. I think those standouts would be the members of the insiders. Ito, insiders versus the outsiders. Sa insiders, there's Justice Carpio, and he propounded his agenda very well. There's also Justice Abad, and there are 5 insiders, di ba, who are here. Now, sa outsiders, I think ang forerunner dyan is Secretary de Lima, di ba? She's tagged as yung manok ng Administrasyong Aquino. But I think that's unfair to say kasi she is competent and able by herself. She has the proven track record to do it. Now, tungkol doon sa judicial reforms, each and every candidate has stated their agenda. And I think that all the candidates, in the end, kung sino yung mahihirang na punong maestrado, will take all this into account. Kasi these are areas brought to the table na issues na talagang kailangang i-address ng punong maestrado. So I think it doesn't matter na kung sino nag-propose o kung kaninong idea yon in the beginning, no? But kung paano ito talagang mai-implement, in the end, it is the judiciary which will benefit from all these proposals.
Okay. Attorney Cynthia, medyo pinapa-wrap up na tayo, but I think there are important issues that we have to address. Nagkaroon po ng pull-out yung representante ng Kongreso mula dito sa panel, no, sa Judicial and Bar Council. Ano po sa tingin nyo ang magiging epekto nito? Dahil sa Lunes po ay nakatakda na silang magbigay ng kanilang desisyon para i-include dito sa shortlist na isusumite kay Pangulo. May epekto po ba ito?
Well, I think there's already been a statement na it will not affect the manner of voting. I think the JBC will still vote according to their mandate to choose the next, to make the shortlist to be submitted to the President. But on the other hand, I also respect the decision of the Senate and the Congress to say na they can't represent each other. On my part, I read the rules insofar as the JBC is concerned. Para sa akin, I would really just consider it as a waiver on the part of Congress and Senate to vote in this landmark milestone in our history to choose the next Chief Justice. I'd like to say just one thing, no, siguro, no. As much as we've had the opportunity to look into the backgrounds of each and every candidate, I think we should give it also to the members of the JBC. They've also been in the spotlight because it is in their hands na nasa kanilang kamay yung responsibilidad sa pagpuprune down o pagpipili ng susunod na maestrado. So I think it's a very important task that they are undertaking, and I commend each and every one. I think they will vote according to their conscience. So, yun. Good luck.
Just to follow up
the
on that.
candidates.
Sa tingin niyo po ba bilang abogado na iba yung manner of questioning ng JBC compared to before when it was not televised?
I don't think so.
Hindi naman.
I think the JBC members will still ask the questions. Alam mo, ang siguro nakakatuwa lang dito, technology is coming into play.
Yes.
Dahil nga, not only is the media more participative of this process,
But the viewers-
nagkaroon na talaga maririnig mo, meron sa mismong sa mga members, may Twitter, may email. So siguro I'm sure sila mag-crash course sila sa technology dito. So yun siguro yung maganda rito. But insofar as yung pagbabago ng sistema, I don't think there is a change. Perhaps mas open lang, mas transparent lang siguro in line with the policy now ng transparency. Pero palagay ko hindi nagbago. Ganun at ganun din pa rin ang questions. Meron nga lang participation, may interaction with the public.
Pero po, do you think that the live telecast or the televised interviews affected the way that the nominees answered the question and the way they conducted themselves in front of the JBC panel?
Palagay ko. Kasi nadagdagan siguro yung kanilang kaba. Kung normally, they just think, ano bang klaseng questions ang ibibigay sa akin? Now, mas magiging, palagay ko, careful sila. Parang beauty contest ba? Diba? Kasi hindi nila alam kung anong magiging questions. Ikalawa, very spontaneous. They'll be judged according to, not only by the JBC members, but also by the public. Not only nationwide, kung hindi globally, di ba? Kasi nasa YouTube to, nasa lahat, nasa media. So, I can imagine the stress and the strain that they went through. Pero tapos na yun eh. The stress now would be, I think, upon the JBC members.
Okay, mensahe nyo na lang po sa ating mga manonood na sumabaybay nitong nakaraang 4 na araw nitong mga interviews.
Siguro this is the opening, this is the beginning of a more active public, not only sa judiciary, kung hindi pati sa government concerns, no? Whether it be legislative, sa executive, or judiciary, nakikita natin na tayong taong bayan, we all have a stake in this entire process, which makes us more vigilant, which should make us more aware, and we'd like to thank the media for always being there to give it, para ibigay sa publiko ang lahat ng dapat na malaman, or to give us turuan, i-educate yung public dito sa mga nangyayari. Maraming salamat sa media. Without you, I think the entire process is so much easier because of the media. So thank you. We'd like to thank you for that. And thank you, PTV4, for this opportunity. I'm excited. I'm as excited as you are to know kung sino talaga ang magiging next Chief Justice. But good luck. Good luck sa lahat ng kandidato.
Maraming salamat din po sa inyo, Attorney Rojas, sa pagbibigay ng inyong oras sa amin at sa ating mga manonood. Ako, Gio, from these interviews, natutunan ko rin at kahit paano nakilala natin itong mga, lalo na yung mga justices na nominees, kasi nakikita lang natin sila sa mga litrato sa website ng Supreme Court.
Kung papansin natin, tama yung sinabi ng attorney kanina na kahit hindi sila ma-nominate, nakilala sila ng publiko.
Na-humanize sila
Nakita mo na, ganito pala yung trend of thought, ganito yung judicial philosophy, ganito pala sila magdesisyon, ganito pala sila nag-document ng mga pangyayari. So it's very important in how we deal with the judiciary, especially this branch that sinasabi nila has been very under the shadows or under the light, during the past years.
So sa Lunes po ay nakatakdang magbotohan itong mga miyembro ng Judicial and Bar Council para sa mga ilalagay nga sa shortlist na isusumite kay Pangulong Benigno S. Aquino III. At least 3 po itong mga pangalan na kanilang isusumite. Pero as Attorney Mejia said, pwedeng mas marami pa dito ang kanilang isusumite sa Pangulo. At mula doon po ay pipili ang Pangulo para i-appoint bilang susunod na punong mahistado ng bansa.
So take note lang tayo sa ating mga pangyayari na sa weekend, magkikita po ang IBP para magbigay ng diskusyon kung matutuloy po ba yung kaso ni Secretary De Lima. So doon pa lang natin malalaman yon. And of course, on Monday, dito magkakaroon ng botohan. And of course, PTV will be showing this live. And sabi nga ni Atty. Mia, he will be explaining the votes. No? Lahat ng mga miyembro ng JBC will be explaining the votes kung sino yung gusto nilang ma-shortlist. So napaka-importante nitong mga upcoming days in knowing who our next Chief Justice will be.
Okay, at with that, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat sa pagtunghay sa 4 na araw na komprehensibong coverage namin na inihatid sa inyo mula po dito sa Department of Justice Building. Nakilala po natin ang 20 mga kandidato sa pwesto ng punong mahistrado at sumubaybay po kayo at alamin kung sino talaga ang susunod na mauupo sa pinakamataas na pwesto ng hudikatura. Maraming salamat po muli. Ako si Cathy San Gabriel.
At ako naman po si Gio Tingson. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat.